Writer producer Cy Hulbert has had lots of success recently with Dido's album hitting number one. Also worked on One Direction's album, which sold in the millions, and did so with Ed Sheeran, who has also been a writing partner of his. So I wanted to find out how he got started, what's it like working with someone like Ed Sheeran, and some of the other experiences. What was it like meeting, working with Dido? Stay tuned, listen up, and subscribe for more content.
Yeah. But he is an absolute talent.
Yeah.
And a genuinely nice guy as well.
I'm really interested to know a bit about your journey, into the world of the music business and all the rest of it. When did you sort of realise that you, well, A, had a talent for music, and B, what was it that got you over the edge until you sort of wanted to be a musician? Was it a particular band or artist that actually got you thinking, this is what I want to be doing?
I've always loved music. I think we discussed that before. My mum is an amazing pianist, so always been instruments in the house. Like my dad used to play guitar, and I think that they used to leave all their old records out, and I used to just go through and listen to stuff. And think that's cool, and you try and play it, and you try and copy it as much as you can. And then I think that just naturally grew. Did music at school, didn't really enjoy doing the lessons, but enjoyed actually making sounds. Joined bands at school as well, in college. Played drums, that was my first instrument.
Oh right, okay. Was that a problem with the neighbours when you were having to practice and all that?
Yeah, huge problem. I used to get lots of, when I was obviously a kid living up with my mum and dad, used to get very angry neighbours appearing. I mean, you can't play the drums quietly, especially when you're like sort of 14.
No. Exactly.
And then just knew I loved music, but knew I loved the kind of the technology side of it as well, because I think this is going to date me as well, but Beverly Hills Cop had just come out.
Oh wow!
And Axel F.
Oh, fantastic!
I was just like, this is amazing.
Yeah,
I loved all of Jan Hammer's stuff, and thought, I want a synth. I want to be able to do that. So I had like my first synth. I was, probably about 13.
What synth was it?
It was a Casio
CZ100.
It wasn't. No, it's called an HT300, I think.
Right.
And it was an FM synthesis thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But to me, it sounded great.
I forgot they made FM synths actually.
They did. Made an FM synth.
Wow.
And that's my first one. It was kind of saved up stupid amount of money for it. Had to do all sorts of odd jobs, and and to me it was like a load of money, but it probably wasn't looking back on it. But I got it and started playing it, and so really loved the technology side. And then so I knew kind of wanted to do something with it, but I was studying to be a graphic designer at the time. So in college, that's what I was working through, and so I was studying history of art and graphic design then, but still doing music. And it was actually a personal tragedy that got me really into music. That I wanted somewhere to. I don't know, when you have a personal tragedy, you get kind of all sorts of emotions going, anger, all that sort of stuff, but I wanted to do something creative with it, and I actually just locked myself in a friend's studio for like hours and hours and hours, and it was very therapeutic. I enjoyed doing it, and it actually came out with some good music. Didn't really know what to do with it, but it gave me enough on tape at the time to be able to play people and show, look, this is what I can do. And a friend of mine was just finishing up film college, and he asked me if I wanted to do music for a little film, a student film he was making, and I was like, yeah, cool, did that. I put everything into it, worked for weeks on this thing. It's filmed like local to where I live in Bromley. And then, long story short, this guy then, when he left film school, managed to get a job at the Disney Channel.
Nice.
And worked his way up. We kept in touch, and he said, we've got a few programmes, do you want to do music for them? And I was like, yeah, it's Disney. All the time, I hasten to add, I was working all sorts of side jobs to fund this. I was like painting contact lenses, cleaning toilets, doing anything to keep funding it, and started doing music for Disney, and then started doing a lot more of their shows, and then started doing their like Royal Albert Hall things, and it just kind of grew from there. But I always knew I wanted to do pop, and not really, that wasn't my bag, but it was brilliant to do.
Yeah, it's a great in, isn't it, really?
And it was. And my first break in the business was I did a record with Joni Mitchell and the Jungle Brothers, would you believe?
Wow.
Two polar opposites.
Wow.
I just thought...
That's bonkers. Was that sample-based record?
Yeah, sample-based.
Right.
Yeah, sample-based. So I've always loved, as I've said to you, I've always loved my hip-hop, especially the old school stuff. And I was just playing around on a record deck and I thought, that sounds pretty cool. Had a beat going. And I've always loved Joni Mitchell as well.
Yeah.
And it was a track called Chelsea Mornings. And I was just like, oh my God, this works really well together.
Wow.
So I put it together, and a mate of mine had just had a record out. And he said, oh, you should try and send it to these people. And I actually sent it to, it was Multiply Records.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they signed it. I got signed off the back of that.
Wow.
And then off the back of that, I got to meet the Jungle Brothers and actually work with the Jungle Brothers. Didn't so meet Joni Mitchell, but it was all good, all due for release. And the record company folded and went into liquidation.
Rather than multiplied, they divided, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
yeah.
but what that enabled me to get a foothold in and kind of meet people that I hadn't met before and get a publishing deal and then do like more records and just kind of.
It's a great start though, getting that deal like that. You know, that sounds like it's almost like magically happened for you, really.
To be honest with you, it kind of was, and it wasn't. I didn't like. Nobody in my family has got anything to do with music. I had literally no connections at all. I just did this, and then sent it to a record label that a mate of mine said, "Oh, they might be interested." And I say mate, he wasn't. He actually poached my girlfriend off me at the time, but then we became friends. You know, it's kind of you get over stuff. And he, you know, it was right. So there's a hell of a lot of luck, obviously, involved.
Right. When you got signed with Multiply, was that a one-off deal? Did they do a one-off deal with you?
Yeah, it's a singles deal.
A singles deal, and that was without a manager or anything, was it?
Without a manager, without a publisher, without honestly knowing what I was doing at all. So, and I think that kind of naivety is a really valuable tool when you're starting.
Yeah.
Because you haven't got any filters that say, well, no, I can't do this, I might not like it. You don't know any different. You just go, oh, I'm going to do that.
So when was that track done? Was that something that you did at home? Was it?
Yeah, did it in a garage.
Really?
Did it in a garage. It wasn't even a decent record deck. It was like my granddad gave me an old Marconi record deck that was used for playing 78s.
No way.
As well as 45s and 33s. I mean, it's a very old, big deck. And I think I put this record on, I think I put the Jungle Brothers one on as a 78, and it's obviously, it was meant to be a 33, it's the album, and I was just like, there's some cool bits on there, you know, and you're just experimenting, man.
Wow, that's great. I mean, so once the label folded, I mean, that could have been the end of, you know, your dreams, couldn't it? But what happened after that?
As you know what the music industry is like, you get like 99% of it is disappointment, and it's just those kind of little nuggets that kind of keep you going.
Yeah.
So, and I think I was still working a job at that time as well, so I was still working money to support like the career that I wanted in music, enabling me to like buy equipment, and you know, just build up basic stuff, all second hand. I didn't get anything new.
Was that in the days of the Atari? Was it? Or was that
I had an Atari 1040 ST, which I've still got.
Yeah.
Don't use it, still got that. And it was, my first sampler was NAC IS 950. And a Tascam 38 tape to tape.
Wow.
So, and that record, you won't hear it because it was never released. Part of me is considering actually just dropping it anyway.
Why not?
And, you know, but it was actually done on a mixture of Atari, you know, running the program, the Akai doing the samples, and then recorded that to the half-inch Tascam.
Wow.
You know, it was real hit and miss.
How it sounds these days.
I think it probably sounds appalling by it'll sound horrible.
Lo-fi.
But it was, you know, it was at the time, it was listening to the old rave records around that sort of time.
Yeah.
You can hear where the loops kind of loop and it's all a bit kind of thrown together, but it doesn't matter, it's a vibe, you know.
It's like magic about it. Yeah. So did you then decide that you wanted to go into more songs and stuff or after that, or did you continue with the sample-based?
God, I'm trying to think. It's such a long time ago. I did another sample-based record that was signed to Gut Records.
Oh yeah. Guy Holmes.
Sorry.
Guy Holmes.
Yeah, it was Guy. Yeah, Guy Holmes. They signed that, and unfortunately, again, it was on a singles deal, but we had trouble getting permission from the original vocalist, which is always, that's the risk you take when you sign people. But But again, from you don't give up. You just keep going and sort of think you enjoy making music. You just keep making it and hope somebody will listen to it.
Yeah.
So I was still doing a lot of. I think I was doing a few more TV bits, a few more film bits, working with a lot of artists, getting a lot of experience which you can't shortcut, and worked with some really good people early on. And I didn't know what I was doing, so it was always a bit disastrous. But yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I did a session with a guy that wrote Sex Bomb with Moose T.
Oh right, did you? How was that?
It was interesting. I was asked to leave my own studio while he was writing, which I'd never come across before. Now it's kind of now I kind of you accommodate anybody, however.
Is that because he wants to go into the zone and don't want any distractions?
I don't honestly know, but being like inexperienced at the time, it was a really weird concept to be thrown. You're there to help and make a record, and suddenly you've been asked to step out of the studio and come back. But I think all of it's been like an amazing learning experience and working out actually how different humans work and. These little bits that make people who they are, you sort of accommodate them and think, yeah, that's cool. My first publisher was hooking me up with people. So I was getting writers in. And I think the thing is, it's like being like a little sort of pollinating honeybee. You work with one writer and then they will recommend you to somebody else they've worked with, and it kind of, so your reputation is important. Even, you don't have to know what you're doing, you just have to be, I think when you're starting, enthusiastic, accommodating, and just give it your best. And it just kind of progressed, I guess. And did sort of more records, did dance records that sort of gave me sort of more opportunities. Did the Sugar Babes stuff, which again it just opens up more opportunities.
How did that come about, Sugar Babes?
That was, I have to remember this rightly because this was like I think 2008. My manager at the time, really nice guy, Aaron Coiters, had an idea of using this chorus because I think it was being run on a Boots advert at the time.
All right.
It's Alan Toussaint who wrote it. Or did he sing it? I can't remember. I'll fact check that. And thought, let's do a dance version of this, put it to Ministry. And sort of did a dance version. It was me and his brother did this kind of dance version. Didn't really get a lot of uptake. And then I can't remember how it happened, but it landed on the desk of Sarah Stennett, who was at the time looking after the Sugar Babes. And then she passed it over to Darkus, and he was like, oh, really like this, can we get this done? But unbeknownst to me at the time, I was actually in competition with Mark Ronson.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we'd done this thing, and it's always, the music business is one giant competition. And basically we delivered a better record.
Wow.
For want of a better word, it was,
It's great to come up against Mark Ronson and to be chosen.
I think I might lose now, but this was like back in, this was a few years back. And we had like, we had real brass played on it. It was Shirley Bassey's brass section on that. Did that at a tiny little studio, Dave Palmer, the engineer.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he did the whole thing, engineered the whole thing with me down at a little studio in Bromley.
Wow.
Got all the trumpets done, and then it was synced and used, and it kind of opens up onto other stuff. But it's really weird if you're coming from the dance world, as I was at that time, you've then got no credibility in the pop world.
Yeah.
And then if you're coming from the pop world, trying to go into the dance world, you've got no credibility either way. So it's a really weird thing.
Yeah.
I think things have changed a lot now because it's all kind of mushed into one. But yeah.
So how did that record do?
It did really well. We were kept off the #1 spot by, I think it was Kings of Leon on Pink. Because you never know, when it's going to be released, and we bought Darkus bought the release forward, I seem to recall, so it wasn't conflicting with everything. And we had the normal 6-week run up. And he was like, this is going to be #1. We're looking at the figures, looking at the pre-sales. This is doing really well. We're going to storm it. And then literally out of the blue, it was like Pink appeared and Kings of Leon. And I was like, that ain't going to be #1.
Was that the Party Started? Was that the record?
I think that's the Party Started, and it was the Sex on Fire, Kings of Leon. They're classics.
Classic records, aren't they?
Yeah, they are absolutely classic records. So
no grievance.
yeah, you take it on the chin. But it's kind of, you always get the excitement of a record being released, and then it's a really weird feeling when it is released, because it's like having kids. You want them to do really well, and then you sort of think, oh, maybe it's not doing as well as I thought it was going to do. And
so how did that process work? What, were you physically in the studio with the Sugar Babes at the time?
Yeah, we recorded the vocals in Metropolis, in Studio B in Metropolis, which is the big downstairs one. Over 2 days, because some of the members decided not to turn up on the first day, so we were like twiddling our fingers a little bit, but then we got everybody in, recorded the vocals, and basically did the rest of the record at my place. So I think Melvin Coiters, who's my manager's brother, who we were doing this with, he was doing a lot of the drums over in Holland, sending those back, and then I did all the production, in my little studio with Dave Palmer engineering it, and did.
Where was it mixed? Was it mixed?
That was, oh wow, where was that mixed? I think that was, Tom Elmhurst.
Okay, oh right. Okay.
Yeah, Tom Elmhurst mixed that one. I was just trying to remember, because I get statements coming through for that now, and it's always got, it was Tom's name on it. So Tom Elmhurst, who's like legendary mixer, and he's in everything now.
So did that open up a lot of doors for you then, having that Sugar Babes record?
Yes and no. It did, but I think, like with all this stuff, you can't expect those doors to open. You kind of, you've got a window of opportunity when it's doing well in the charts, or it's, on TV or radio, whatever the exposure it's had, you've got a little window of opportunity to go, oh, that record you've heard, I've done that, can I work with such and such? So you can't just like sit on your backside and go, I'm just gonna, and everything's gonna come to me. It just doesn't work like that.
So what do you do? Do you sort of go out and proactively like ring managers or tap bands up?
You just hustle people. You just got to hustle people and try and get in more work to kind of. For me anyway, everybody's path's different, but for me it was like, okay, I've done the Sugar Babes record, I want to work with somebody bigger profile than that, and and see what we can sort of pull in. So that could be like writers or other artists or stuff like that, and you just basically have to work and see what's out there and where you fit.
Was that the first girl band you ever worked with?
Like in that capacity, I actually no. I think I did some stuff with the Honeys beforehand.
Oh right,
At the tail of their stuff, when putting out legacy records and stuff like that. But I think working directly with a girl band, I ended up doing, I think it was 4 songs on the album then. So I did the first 2 singles, and I'm trying to remember the name of the second one. No Can Do. Was the second one, which took a old Northern Soul sample, which we had replayed by Hal Ritson at Replay Heaven. And mate, can I just say, that guy is a genius.
I'm not aware of him actually.
We had this Northern Soul sample that we needed to get replayed, and it was huge. It had strings, drums, vocal, everything on it, and needed to get it replayed because we couldn't get clearance for the master.
Right.
And Hal Ritson's company specialises in this, and he's a wizard.
Wow.
And we sent this thing off and said, can you do this? And he was like, yeah, we can. Might take a bit of time. I was like, and we were under real big time constraints for this. And I said, how long? And he said, it'll probably take about 6 hours. I was like, wow. And it was like literally a full band replay. And this thing came back, and it was almost like, it was identical.
Wow.
But dare I say it, better.
Sonically,
it was identical.
Wow.
I mean, you literally could not tell the difference. I don't know how he does it. He's just an absolute genius.
That's pretty impressive, I have to say.
Any replays, he's normally the guy that will do.
Really?
Globally. So it's pretty amazing.
That's a nice little niche. The Sugar Babes came along, and have you worked with boy bands? Because you've done One Direction, haven't you, and stuff?
Yes, did One Direction.
That's with Ed Sheeran, wasn't it?
That was with Ed, yeah.
Yeah, so how did that come about?
Oh man. Well, I was working with Ed for quite a long time actually. Before he kind of really went stratospheric.
Yeah.
So there was, you know, we did loads and loads of writing, and just before his first album was going to come out, we did a demo. I can't remember who it's for, but it was like a drum and bass demo.
Really?
Yeah, we just sat there. We just did this like random thing. I think it was for a purpose,
right.
but we both thought, oh, let's just give this a go. And it's the worst demo I've ever done in my entire life. It was appalling. It had a like horrible drum and bass beat over it. Didn't make sense. It was like plonky piano. We sort of came up with this sort of concept. The song was good, but
is he a secret drum and bass fan?
I think he likes a bit of everything, to be honest with you.
Right.
I think he likes, you know, again, I would say he's a musical genius.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Say so. Yeah. It's incredible.
And so, and I think he was doing the rounds because he's got a record coming out, obviously, with as we now know what record he came out, and he actually gave a load of stuff to Tyler Brown at Psycho, who was looking for tracks for their new boy band that were just coming off of X Factor. I think at the time, One Direction, all the briefs I saw, they wanted to be like an electronic type Erasure band.
Really?
And I just thought, no, I can't, doesn't, you know, not my genre. And then Ed gave me a call and said, oh, they've taken our record. I'm like thinking, oh, I've been written, so which one? Brilliant. And he said this particular one, I was like, that was awful. But, and then we had to do some like tweaks on it and you get it up to scratch, and it actually sounded really good, and it went on the album in the end.
So did you actually go physically work with them and stuff in the studio?
No, this was remote again. So
really? Wow,
yeah.
wow.
So Jake ended up doing the final bits on that as well. So it's all part of the album. And it's really weird. It was a fan favourite, which sounds a bit weird.
It's great.
But they ended up using it on 4 tours.
Did they?
Yeah, 4 tours. I think they released it 3 times altogether.
Wow.
So it was on their first album. They then released it as on the B-side of their single for their new single for the second album. Then I think it was on like another version. It was just weird the way it kind of sort of worked.
Well, they're working the Ed Sheeran angle, do you think, as well?
Oh, undoubtedly, yeah. Because this at the time, like Ed was blowing up and they were blowing up, and I think they got credibility from all sides. So they weren't just billed as another boy band, because they were, you know, it was good music.
They've got good voices actually. Well,
they've got amazing
voices.
voices.
Amazing voices.
They can all sing.
Yeah.
And that helped things.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, did you write the songs with Ed in Kent, or was that somewhere?
No, it's in Kent.
Was it?
Yeah, in Kent, and he used to, as the story goes, always used to sleep on the sofas up at my place.
Really?
So yeah, we used to, and he's a very hard worker.
Yeah.
And knows what he's doing. So yeah, we just used to do it in my little place. And
Wow. Will he be quick at coming up with melodies and stuff like that? Was he?
yeah, he's like a walking songbook.
Really?
Yeah, totally. He's is melodised the right word? I don't know. Literally, you could read the shopping list and suddenly you'd get an amazing melody out of it. So
really?
He's
wow.
I know. I think as soon as somebody gets like mega famous, they polarise. Yeah. But he is an absolute talent. Yeah. And a genuinely nice guy as well, which is, you can't always say that of a lot of people that have achieved what he.
Very nice.
Yeah, he is. He's got time for everybody. I mean, when he had his launch party at the World's End pub, I think it was in.
Oh, in Chelsea.
Is it Chelsea? Is that the
Kings Road?
Yeah, I think that's where he had it, and this was for his album, so you can imagine it was packed.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen him for about 6 months, and I just thought, probably won't get a look in. Yeah. Because, you know, everybody was there. You know what it's like at those parties, everyone wants to talk to him. And I sort of got out the taxi, and he had a big group of people around him. And I thought I'll try and catch him later. And he actually saw me, got out, and he just like literally said, oh, hang on a second, like came out from the group, came straight over to me and gave me a big hug. And I thought,
genuine guy.
Yeah, it was a nice touch, you know. So I don't have a bad word about him. He's a proper nice guy.
No, that's good to hear. What would you advise anyone wanting to enter the business now to do, and what things to look out for? What's the pitfalls? What angle should they be taking?
I think use the tools that you've got, which is, you know, the internet, social media. I don't. It depends what you're doing. If you want to be a band, a singer-songwriter, there's no shortcut really to performing live. There really isn't, because then you get a core fan base that. Because these days, especially with Spotify, you don't really know who the artists are.
No.
You know, you hear songs. There's not platforms like there used to be where you got to see the artist and like read loads about the artist, and you know, it's very much song based. So, but it's possible to do. I think you can do it all yourself. You can, you know, put out videos. You do a track, build a video, because it's visual. People like that, you know, and it increases your views and spreads on YouTube and stuff like that. I mean, I manage a grime act as well at the moment. We're doing a lot of stuff for it. I mean, I've taught myself how to use Premiere Pro. So I can put visual media together with all the little the promos that he's putting out, because it engages people more. And I think work hard, just continue working hard, and always be prepared to kind of learn and listen to everybody that wants to give you advice. You know, and you don't necessarily have to take it as they say it, but certainly consider it and think, does that apply to me actually? Is there a point there? Can I utilise that? You know, but I think, yeah, Spotify obviously the main one. Make friends with independent curators. Try and get your stuff on their playlist. Get your friends to just tweet. It's almost like guerrilla warfare with that. You know, if you're on Instagram, you write a track, hashtag the people who've got huge followers and go, I did this for you, or what do you think of this? Hashtag, and you naturally get more followers and people that will listen to your music. Just be nice and try and, for me, it really puts me off when people, request my friend on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and I accept, and then instantly I'll get hit with a massive load of links. Oh, hi, thanks for checking out my music. It's kind of might work for some people, but for me, I kind of like to know the person first.
Yeah.
And because then you can take in the whole story. You can go, this is a really nice guy. Ah, right, he's done this or she's done that, and I know their background, and then listen to the music, and it helps form for me a bigger picture of who they are and what their music's about.
Absolutely. One final question I've got to ask you, we can't escape this one really. You recently worked with Dido, didn't you? Or at least had some success with Dido. Now, how did that come about, and how was that?
Wow. Okay. Yeah, the Dido that did good. We had Billboard #1 in the States with that, which was kind of cool.
Fantastic.
It was my old manager Zev. We actually wrote the record. God, it must be 5 years ago now.
Wow.
And it was a pitch, and I was working with a couple of guys come over from Australia called the Opposite Kids, and my best mate D Adam, and it was initially a pitch for Conor Maynard. Would you believe?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not at the time. That was the brief we were given at the start of the day.
Yeah.
So we kind of wrote this record. We just wanted it to be very stripped out, like 808s and not a lot else in it really, and to be about the song. And I mean, Dee's an amazing lyricist, producer, you name it, she can do it. And we basically came up with this quite amazing track, but we needed it vocal, so we got a guy called Joseph Burney to come in, paid him for a session, and he absolutely smashed it out of the park with his vocals. He had a cold at the time, but he managed to do all these gospel choirs. It sounded amazing. Sent it off to my manager in the States, and there's a guy who was working at the same company called Hosh, who used to work at Dido's record label back in the day, and just total punt, decided to email it to her. And she was in retirement, not writing, not doing anything else, no plans to do anything. And she heard the record and she loved it so much she'd actually laid her vocal down on it within probably about 2 days of hearing it.
Wow.
Which is unheard of because she never sings other people's records.
No.
It's always been. She's an amazing writer. Very well, as everybody knows, you don't have to say that. The proof is in the pudding. She's an amazing writer, and that's kind of how it happened. But then the politics, the timings, everything starts coming into play, and that's why it took 4 years.
Wow.
Because she then came out of retirement, started writing again, so we were writing more tracks with her, and she was writing pretty much everything else with Rollo. Yeah, not Rollo, that's the chocolate Rollo.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then this was the first single that they were releasing, and it was, but it was difficult because she fell in love with the demo so much she didn't want it changed.
Really?
And it was, again, a very rough demo.
Yeah.
So the song basically took maybe 4 hours to write and record and demo, and then probably 18 months to tweak it, produce it backwards and forwards.
Wow.
Me and Dee have got so many versions of this, it's unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah. Even to the point, it's premiere on Radio 2. We were still mixing and tweaking the version gone midnight before it was due for premiere. I think it was 9 o'clock the next morning.
Really?
Yeah, it was
Wow. That's
hardcore.
yeah, literally by the skin of your teeth sort of thing. You managed to. How do you decide on what version to be the final one after all those versions?
The final one was the original, with the addition of a little bit of sub bass in the middle eight, and that was it.
Wow.
I think some versions they've got like a tiny little percussive element added. That wasn't added by us, I think, on certain radio stations. But then Mark Knight did a massive remix job on it.
I was thinking,
and so the package was great, and it went global. So it did really, really well.
Yeah, congratulations, number one on Billboard. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It was cool. It was nice. It was nice to have, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's.
And was she a nice? You know, is she a nice person?
Dido is amazing.
Yeah.
First time, because obviously we just heard the demo with a vocal on it, and the first session was she came in to write with myself and Dee in Dee's little studio in Portobello Road. You never know what to expect. You never know. But she came in and she was just lovely. We must have probably spent about the first hour chatting about kids and school runs, and, and you kind of almost forget that you're sitting there opposite an icon. You know, somebody that's, you know, just set fire to the world, you know, especially with the, you know, when she did the Eminem feature as well, which I think just opened everything up to the mainstream. And then, you know, he said, and she'll be like, right, should we get some writing? And you'll play some chords, and then suddenly you sort of think, that's Dido, because she opens her mouth, and you're just like, oh my god, that's what I've heard on like records all I've been growing up. So yeah, it's a wonderful position, man. It's, you know, very, very grateful to even be able to say that to anybody that I've done stuff like that.
And I'm very grateful that you've come in today and had this chat. It's been really lovely talking to you, man.
Oh, mate, always a pleasure.
Yeah, nice one.